Please note that the contents of this webinar are valid as of today. For the most current information on IRCC processes and travel restrictions to Canada, please visit www.canada.ca/immigration. The link to all our social media coordinates, as mentioned, will be shared with you at the end of the presentation. The travel restrictions that you see on your page are stop non-essential or non-discretionary travel to Canada. To protect Canadians from the outbreak of COVID-19, the Government of Canada implemented travel restrictions that limit travel to Canada. Until further notice, most foreign nationals cannot travel to Canada even if they have a valid visitor visa or electronic travel authorization. The program today will review what IRCC considers to be essential travel, and therefore these travelers may be exempt from the travel restrictions. This slide is a very brief overview of the current exemptions and what is exempt as of today. We strongly encourage you to receive a full explanation of all of our travel exemption by going to our website. We even have a very helpful robot named Quaid that can assist you in getting to the correct spot by typing in your questions. Please remember that the airline you use to travel to Canada and Port of Entry office always have the last say in whether you will be allowed to board or enter Canada. We can only provide you with guidance based on the information that you provide to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, or more commonly, as you know us, as IRCC. On this slide, you will see a comparative list of the requirements and exemptions you will need to keep in mind based on which category of traveler you fit into. For those who require an authorization letter, you must email the mailbox listed at the bottom of the screen. You must provide information regarding if your visa is in process or if you already have a visa. You will only need the authorization letter. These letters can only be provided by our unit in Canada, not the mission here in India. It is important to know who is considered an immediate family member. According to these travel restrictions, immediate family members include your spouse or common law partner, your child under age 22, your parent or step-parent if over the age of 22, they are considered an extended family member, your guardian or tutor, your spouse's dependent child, your spouse's parent or step-parent, a dependent child of your dependent child. Status of family member in Canada is very important, and documentation regarding the status of your family member in Canada should be provided to the airline and port of entry when entering Canada. Documents such as birth certificate or the last page of an Indian passport showing parentage, along with family in Canada status documents like a permanent resident card or citizenship certificate or a Canadian passport, is important to have available. Canadian citizens and permanent residents. Immediate family members are eligible to travel to Canada. This is considered essential travel and no authorization letter is required if the travel is over 15 days. If under 15 days, they must be traveling for an essential purpose, an authorization letter is required. Temporary resident in Canada, immediate family members are eligible to travel to Canada if the travel is essential. In almost all cases, an authorization letter is required. In some cases, like a student permit or work permit holder and traveling with their family who also hold study and work permits and will reside together in Canada, do not require an authorization letter. Note that currently we are prioritizing applicants who may be exempt from the travel restrictions. Therefore, if you have applied online and are waiting for an answer on your application and you meet the criteria above, you must flag how you meet the criteria by emailing the IRCC COVID travel exemption mailbox. Again, provide all the information required to show that you are exempt, that you are traveling for more than 15 days, that you can provide that you are an immediate family member and the status document for your family members in Canada. As of October 8, 2020, Canadian citizens and permanent residents, extended family members are eligible to travel to Canada. According to these travel restrictions, extended family members include individuals in an exclusive dating relationship with a Canadian citizen or permanent resident for at least 1 year who have spent time in the physical presence of the Canadian citizen or permanent resident during the relationship, and these individuals' dependent children. Non-dependent children, adult children who do not meet the definition of a dependent child in the Immigration and Refugee Protection Regulations. Grandchildren, siblings who include half and step siblings, and grandparents. Foreign nationals will be eligible to travel to Canada and will not need to demonstrate that they are entering for a purpose that is non optional or non discretionary, as long as they are staying in the country for 15 days or more. And they need to provide immigration, refugees, and citizenship Canada with the required documentation, including a completed and signed statutory declaration to show they meet the definition of an extended family member of a Canadian citizen or Canadian permanent resident. They meet the existing eligibility and admissibility requirements to enter the country. They're traveling to Canada with a valid passport and travel document, which is a visa or an electronic travel authorization if needed. And they have received written authorization from IRCC to travel to Canada as an extended family member. For these extended family members seeking to travel to Canada from any country other than the United States, an authorization letter issued by IRCC is required. Foreign nationals are now eligible to enter Canada for compassionate reasons by providing support to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, temporary resident, or a protected person in the following situations. These reasons include being present during the final moments of life for a loved one, providing support to a person deemed critically ill, providing care to a person who medically requires support, attending a funeral or end of life ceremony. Provinces and territories may have additional requirements and processes that must be respected. The quarantine plan can be adjusted online form to be completed and sent to the Public Health Agency of Canada. Once you have the online form, you can write to IRCC COVID exemption mailbox with the form and advise that you either have a visa or require a visa. Depending on the situation, you may be biometric exempt or travel on a foil-less visa, meaning that they will accommodate you traveling without having the actual visa in your passport. For workers, the key factor is that the worker either lived in Canada before the pandemic and needs to return and has a valid visa. Evidence that they lived in Canada would be duration of their work permit and stamps in their passport showing that they had entered Canada in the past. The other key component is if a worker has a valid visa and has a job offer and is able to work after they quarantine in Canada. Before making any travel arrangements, if the foreign national has submitted a work permit application and has received a letter of introduction, the foreign national should confirm with their prospective employer that the work location or organization is not subject to mandatory closure of non essential businesses. If the business is closed, workers should not proceed to Canada at this time. If the business is open, they will be able to start their employment after the 14-day quarantine period. Travelers need to show airline staff that you're exempt from the travel restrictions. To do this, show the following documents to airline personnel when you're boarding your flight: passport or travel document, proof that you're exempt from travel restrictions such as emergency service providers, a letter of invitation from a relevant organization in Canada, government or non-government organization, a healthcare student, a letter of invitation from a relevant teaching institution, marine crew joining vessels, a joining letter from shipping agents, after-sales service not including installation, which comes under an after-sales service contract. Family members of workers. Foreign nationals who are accompanying family members of work permit holders where the spouse has a letter of introduction for an open work permit or meet another exemption from travel restrictions. The decision of the Border Services Officer will be context specific. In a situation where immediate family members are ordinarily residents of Canada, a Border Services Officer may allow entry as travel would not be optional. In a situation where the temporary worker is coming to do work that is critical for the Canadian economy, Border Services officers may examine the motivations for travel of any dependents at this time, particularly as schools are not open. Learning institutions whose COVID-19 readiness plans have been approved by their provincial or territorial government are soon welcoming more international students back to their schools. Amended travel restrictions have taken effect on October 20th, allowing international students to enter Canada if the designated learning institution or DLI has an approved COVID-19 readiness plan in place. With primary responsibility for education and healthcare, provincial and territorial governments Assess COVID-19 readiness plans that schools are putting in place. As part of their plans, DLIs are expected to provide information to international students on health and travel requirements before they arrive in Canada, help students with their quarantine plans, and provide guidance or assistance in acquiring the necessities of life, such as food and medication, during their quarantine. Readiness plans also need to establish protocols for the health of students in the event there are suspected or confirmed COVID-19 cases at the school. The Government of Canada works closely with provinces and territories on the attraction and hosting of international students in Canada and other issues related to international education. Provincial and territorial partners indicated that they would like to see a process that allows international students to begin traveling to Canada again, as long as it is done safely and respects health requirements. Taking a cautious approach, the federal, provincial, and territorial governments have worked together in developing that process. The list of DLIs with an approved COVID-19 readiness plan in place is posted on the IRCC webpage for international students affected by COVID-19 restrictions and is updated every 2 weeks as provinces and territories identify additional schools. This change to travel restrictions affects all international students regardless of where they are traveling from or when their study permit was approved. Travelers should not make any travel plans until they have met all requirements and received all necessary authorization. All permanent residents with a valid permanent resident card may enter Canada. What we are talking about is a PR who do not have a card and will need a PRTD or a permanent resident travel document. You must email the IRCC COVID PRTD mailbox with your PRTD application forms and online fee payment receipts. A file will be created for you based on your email submission. If your application is approved, you will receive a request to submit your passport for a PRTD counterfoil to be inserted in your passport. We acknowledge that many expired COPR holders are still waiting to travel and settle in Canada. Please do continue to follow instructions on our website. COPR holders may have to redo their medicals and be issued new documents or authorizations by IRCC. IRCC is in the process of reaching out to many of you. You are exempt from the current travel restrictions and can come to Canada if you have a valid COPR and the COPR was issued on or before March 18, 2020, or the COPR was issued after March 18, 2020 and you are an immediate family member sponsored by a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. Note that grandparents are not considered immediate family members and cannot come to Canada at this time. Or, in case of expired COPR applicants, you can only travel to Canada if you are willing to settle now and not land in Canada and can provide evidence that you plan to settle. We know many of you have submitted the web form and your authorizations are being provided and centralized in Canada, not at the mission here in India. We appreciate your patience as we work through the large volume of expired COPR holders. At this time, family class applicants are being prioritized. Economic applicants with immediate family members in Canada are also exempt from the travel restrictions as they need the travel exemptions by having an immediate family member in Canada. Let's look at what processing changes have been introduced as a result of the pandemic. Until 31st Jan 2021, we will only be accepting applications online. This means you can apply for any type of visa, whether it is a student, worker, or visitor. However, priority will be given to those applicants who need the travel restrictions or travel exemption. We are unable to provide specific processing timelines and cannot offer a response to any questions on the turnaround for processing of applications at this time. We will contact applicants once there is an update regarding application. We encourage applicants to continue to watch our website for updates as well as follow us on social media. On the IRCC website, we normally publish processing times for each of our missions for all of our lines of business. Note that these processing times are no longer accurate, as there are processing delays due to reduced staff at the mission. And again, we are prioritizing applicants that need the travel exemptions. As you are likely aware, we have started a phased approach to providing services at the VAC. After being closed for an extended period of time due to the pandemic, a lot has had to change, and we take the health and welfare of our clients and staff very seriously. Therefore, we ask that you please be cautious and not crowd outside the VACs and come to your biometric appointment alone. At this time, only students, workers, returning students and workers, and family class permanent resident applicants spouse and children can enroll their biometrics at a VAC in India. We will continue to open operations incrementally to those applicants who are exempt from the travel restrictions. A new web form has been launched today that will assist in the submission of your passport. We understand there is a huge demand for biometric appointments. The VAC has already booked over 60,000 biometric appointments. Please scan the VAC QR code which you see on your screen, where many of your VAC-related questions will be answered. Once scanned, the document will download on your phone and it will continue to be updated on your phone if and when IRCC updates their information. There is no need to scan the QR code again. If your DLI is not on the approved provinces and territories list, we will only finalize applications which result in a refusal. If you meet eligibility requirements, your application will not be approved for a visa until travel restrictions are further amended or lifted. We want to inform you of various fraud activities and misinformation related to immigration applications. We strongly advise you to scan the QR code on the screen for more information. Protect yourself. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Never share your personal information with unauthorized strangers. Fraudulent websites and scams. Websites may claim to be official Government of Canada sites. They do this to trick people into paying them money. Email scams. IRCC will never send you an email from a private address. The latest issue is emails that appear to be coming from our office but are actually coming from a scammer. Learn how to expand the headings of the email address you receive to find out who the email is actually coming from. Telephone scams. IRCC will never ask you for any sort of payment by telephone. All fees must be paid online through our website. Unauthorized agents. You do not have to use a consultant to submit an application. If you choose to use one, ensure that your representative is legally authorized to represent you at canada.ca/immigration-representative. Examples of authorized agents include members of law societies in Canada, members of the Chambre des Notaires in Quebec, and members of ICCRC, a regulatory body for immigration consultants in Canada. An authorized representative can provide you with valuable tips to avoid paying too much money for an immigration service, as well as what you can expect. Any paid representative must be authorized. When you use an authorized representative and if they provide you with incorrect information, you have recourse for it to be investigated through the ICCRC. If you use an unauthorized representative and they defraud you, you have no recourse. Unpaid representatives could be family members and/or a trusted friend. They must be declared on your application. Requirements for entering Canada by air. As of November 21st, 2020, if you're flying to Canada as your final destination, you must use ArriveCAN to submit your travel and contact information quarantine plan unless exempted under conditions set out in the mandatory isolation order and COVID-19 symptoms self-assessments. You must use ArriveCAN before you board your flight to Canada. If you're using the ArriveCAN app, your window to submit information opens 90 days before your flight. If you submit your information by signing into ArriveCAN online, your window opens 14 days before your flight. Once you submit your information through ArriveCAN, a receipt will be displayed and you should be ready to show the receipt to a Canadian Border Services officer once you land in Canada. You can show your receipt from the app as a screenshot, or you can also carry with you a printout of this receipt. If you need to contact us, please only use the web form. If you are attaching additional information to your application, we will create space in your online application if you send us a request via the web form, and then you will be able to upload the document yourself within 5 business days. You can do this by linking your application. Just search IRCC Secure Web Link. The other email addresses are listed and have been covered in the presentation for today. Please only send the message to the IRCC COVID Travel Exemption mailbox if you meet the travel exemptions and require an authorization letter or need to request your visa be processed because you meet the travel exemptions. We would appreciate your feedback on this presentation. Feel free to comment on our Facebook page regarding how we can improve on our communication going forward, as well as what other topics you would like us to present on and continue doing webinars for. For more information, here are many ways to connect with us and to find information. We have the IRCC website, the High Commission website, and social media such as Facebook and Twitter. We use QR codes to provide you with information because there is a lot to cover in a short presentation. If you need assistance in submitting an online application, again, please scan the QR code which is there on your screen. This provides you with a step-by-step guide on how to apply online. And with that, I come to the end of the presentation for today. I hope that the information that was provided to you has been helpful and that you have found the information to be of use for your travel, to plan your travel to Canada. As mentioned, I can see that a lot of you have added your questions in the Q&A box. So thank you so much. We will make a note of all these questions, and as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the ones which are more generic, the questions which will not only help the person who asked the question, but it might be a question for a lot of our applicants and clients. We will definitely be addressing them over social media through different posts and maybe an FAQ. So please look out for this kind of information on our social media pages. I'm afraid that any case specific queries with regard to file numbers, file submissions, and application dates and status, we will not be able to provide the information on those. I can see that people are asking if the webinar for tomorrow will be the same. Yes, the webinar for tomorrow will be the exactly same and will cover the exact same information. So in case you missed out on some part today, then feel free to join tomorrow. If not, it will absolutely be a repeat of today's information. So I would request that you give others an opportunity to join the webinar because as you know that the seats for the webinars are very limited. So I would request that you keep following us on social media and wait for our next set of webinars when more travel restrictions and exemptions are updated. And for those of you who are asking if the presentation can be shared with you online, I'm afraid that is not possible, but all the information that we are sharing, that I shared during the presentation today, does keep coming up on our social media pages. We repeatedly keep sharing them so that the same information is recycled and more people have access to it. So with that, I would now like to take your leave and close our webinar for the day today. Thank you so much for attending our webinar. Please feel free to share your feedback, as mentioned, and share your opinions about what more topics you would want us to cover in our webinar. And please feel free to do so in our Facebook page in the personal message or inbox section. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone. Hope you stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.